Happy New Year! It's January 1st, and I couldn't resist the opportunity to say hello and wish you a happy 2019, a happy New Year. I hope you've looked back on 2018 and celebrated the things that you did well and the things that you consider a win. And I hope you've had a chance to think about what you want to make of 2019. Well, I'm extremely happy to be a part of your journey going into 2019, and I look forward to helping you build a business you love in this brand new year.
See some of these firms that are accelerating so quickly in a matter of a couple of years, going, into healthy 6 figures, low 7-figure firms. And you kind of peek under the hood, you go to the website, you kind of get a feel for what they're doing, and they're leveraging tools to get a more productive firm. These tools are also delivering a better client experience. Their positioning and branding is very focused, so they serve restaurants or construction or dental practices. And I think the more that you compete in the marketplace in 2019, that's going to be your new normal competitor. It's not going to be the typical shop that's been around for decades and you can kind of beat them just because you can return a phone call in a couple hours and they might take 3 days and not really care. I think you're going to start seeing a new level of competition from these really tech-enabled, tech-focused firms.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a great one. Our returning guest today is the founder of a company that is helping many bookkeepers around the world. His creation, Jetpack Workflow, reduces costly admin time and manages your client work in one place. If that's not enough, our guest also happens to be the host of a hit podcast, Growing Your Firm. David Cristello, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me back.
It's great to have you. As always, David, we have such great conversations. We usually schedule to do these interviews and we say, well, we'll schedule 30 minutes. And by the time 30 minutes is over, we haven't even started the podcast.
That's right. Well, there's so much to catch up on. Obviously we met up in person a little while ago, but with all the events, with all the tools, with all the movers in the industry, if we don't connect for a couple months and we say what's new, there's a lot of stuff that's new. So yeah, we always have issues with time management.
Absolutely, and you have a brand new baby boy, and I have a brand new baby girl. So we get talking about that as two proud papas.
Yeah, that's right. That's a whole new project.
Exactly.
This is my first. You're a seasoned professional now with 2, but that's been amazing.
Beautiful. Well, listen, David, for those who have not yet, and I'm sure they will go and listen to it after this interview, I heard you in the past. Tell our listener a little bit about who you are and Jetpack Workflow.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Jetpack Workflow, really built to help small to medium-sized accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, and tax firms manage all of the recurring deadlines and due dates that go on in your firm so that nothing falls through the cracks. So one place to view all of your clients, everything that's been assigned to your clients, collaborate with your team to make sure everybody's staying focused, give the owner visibility to make sure that due dates are being met, and ultimately, with the goal of helping the firm owner build a better firm and specifically more productive, more profitable, and increasing their level of sanity as they grow their business.
Beautiful. And I knowing a whole bunch of our community members actually utilizing Jetpack, I know the world of difference that it makes in their lives. And I think one of the things that I heard many times was, I love it, but my staff love it even more. And I think that's because the program helps their lives and helps them do a better job. And when a tool is helping you, you love the tool.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point in that as you're building your firm, and look, we have firm owners that it's just them, they're just starting out, and they still find it to be extremely useful. But it certainly accelerates in terms of utility when you have a handful to dozens of team members that might be using the platform, because what Jetpack Workflow allows you to do is create a standardized set of steps. Instead of pure bookkeeping, it would be a checklist and roll that out to all of your clients. And so when your team members wake up or they show up to the office, they open up Jetpack Workflow and they're like, what am I supposed to do? We help them answer that question. And so it gives them that level of expectation on what to do. But then also, if they're blocked, we try to give them simple tools to reach out to a team member they might need an answer from, or the owner partner, or to put a status, or we call them, labels in the system. Hey, this is waiting on a client. So if the owner is not sure what's going on, well, they could see there's a label here. It says waiting on client. I no longer need to interrupt the day for one of my team members. I can get a status update without kind of interjecting them. So it helps them stay, I think, more focused, and helps them, get better expectation setting for their days or their weeks.
Absolutely. It's beautiful stuff. Now, we decided to talk about 2019 and what is happening out there in the marketplace that's having bookkeepers and owners of bookkeeping firms and accounting firms that have bookkeeping ends of their businesses. What's having them be successful?
Yeah, so this is a great question. And I think I'm going to try and give the most practical answer I possibly can. And this is from our inputs of working with thousands and thousands of accounting professionals in 18 plus countries, of doing, our interview series with 100 plus interviews, of constantly kind of seeing what's working in the marketplace. And I think the most practical answer has nothing to do with, bots or AI or machine learning. All of those things will be impactful. But I think 2019, you're going to start seeing, the inflection point of the firms that are tech enabled, that think about the client experience from a workflow perspective, and think about their branding, their positioning in the market, and what's the specific industry they serve or location. The firms that kind of zero in on just doing the fundamentals really well are just, I think, going to dramatically accelerate in 2019. And I was telling Michael right before we hit record, you go to some of these conferences like QB Connect, obviously Xerocon, I'm sure, does a similar thing. And you look at the firms they're highlighting as firm of the future, and you see some of these firms that are accelerating so quickly in a matter of a couple of years, going, into healthy six figures, low seven figure firms. And you kind of peek under the hood, you go to the website, you kind of get a feel for what they're doing, and they're leveraging tools to get a more productive firm. These tools are also delivering a better client experience. Their positioning and branding is very focused, so they serve restaurants or construction or dental practices. And I think the more that you compete in the marketplace in 2019, that's going to be your new normal competitor. It's not going to be the typical shop that's been around for decades and you can kind of beat them just because you can return a phone call in a couple hours and they might take 3 days and not really care. I think you're going to start seeing a new level of competition from these really tech-enabled, tech-focused firms.
I agree. And I think that can be daunting because there is so much tech. There are so many options. There are so many apps. How do you see the pathway to being able to embrace that kind of technology?
Yeah, I think, as with most things, it's a snowball effect. So start with the smallest piece. And for people listening, obviously I'm all about Jetpack Workflow, but if you're listening right now and you're really timid about, jumping in with both feet, get familiar with your inbox, get familiar with Outlook, get familiar with Google Apps, and look for things like creating templated emails. Google has this kind of built in. I'm sure Outlook does as well. Look at things like followup.cc. So what followup.cc can do is you write an email, and in the BCC, you could say 5 p.m. at followup.cc or 2 days at followup.cc. And what that will do is then shoot that message back to the top of your inbox, just so you have a way to nudge yourself to circle or follow up with people, and just start doing some lightweight things. Look at labels inside of your inbox, look at folders, start getting organized with what you currently have and just getting really familiar with that toolkit. And there's probably some great advancements you can make in just what you're currently doing. And once you build up, if it's really about a confidence thing and you feel, potentially not sure about diving into new tech, start there. Just learn the best practices. The same way that I suspect a lot of the listeners really became exceptional at Excel. It's the same mindset. This is the beautiful thing about this industry is that, it is a very tech focused industry. And it's always been, as soon as we made the shift to a spreadsheet, and people don't realize that it is a programming language to actually be exceptional at using Microsoft Excel. And so if you've made that shift to learning how to run VLOOKUPs and spreadsheets, you have all the tools you need to jump into a new tool. It's just a matter of building up momentum and building that snowball effect.
Love it. Those are some great tips. And I think why I like those is it starts to have the thinking around efficiency. How can we work smarter? Don't go and lift the heaviest stone in the yard. Pick the little ones up first and get some momentum going. But it's really the thinking. What are we trying to accomplish here? We're trying to get more done leveraging technology so we get more of our time back. Use that time to work more on the business, make it better, and it's a repeating cycle. One of the things that I've seen be really successful, David, and it includes you in the story, is in Pure Bookkeeping, we have a mastermind program we facilitate. So we have about 6 bookkeepers that we group together. They're from all across North America, but they're business owners about the same level, and they are working on the same things. They're challenged by the same things, and they really do it as a community, as a pod, because one of the biggest risks in growing your business is to do it alone. And what I loved about what they did is they said, okay, one of the biggest challenges they were having was embracing technology. And they picked one piece of technology, which was workflow software. And they said, okay, there's 6 of us. Let's have 6 different options. And if I don't know that there was exactly 6, but they broke up the work. They divided the work and said, we want to, as a group, understand what are the different options out there that are going to help us become more efficient in our businesses and bring automated workflow in the business. So they all evaluated, they brought back their notes and said, well, this one does this one good, this one does that one good. And so they picked a winner, and the winner was Jetpack. And then they implemented that together. They implemented it together. They got in touch with the company, the vendor. In your case, it was you as the guest. It was your product, but they got with you and they said, look, this is what we've done. Now you need to help us make sense of this. Well, that, I think there's a message there about embracing, there's so much happening as the world is going faster and faster and faster. It's like the feeling of, what do I hold on to? Hold on to the hands of those that are going in the same direction as you, because there's going to be so many mistakes for all of us, you and me, our listeners. There's going to be lots of mistakes to be made. We can all get to the summit faster if we're working together.
I love that idea of aligning and connecting with a group and thinking about wins, big or small. You see those stats out there, 1% better a day, and you double in 70 days or 72 days. And, having the accountability of their...
Say that stat again. I'm liking that. Give that again.
Yeah. Double check me on the specific timeline, but I do believe it's 1% better every day. You double in 72 days.
That is a cool concept. I love it. So very small increments add up to really, really big outcomes. A nice cliche or analogy is an inch off the nose is a mile on the horizon.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I think so often if you're not in a group, you're going down this path of trying to implement a new tool or concept or methodology. And for you to really see results, there's some threshold in any type of, implementation project. And maybe you have to get 70% of the way there or 30% or 80% to really start seeing some of the results. But, the thing is, if you stop halfway through that, if you stop at 12% or 17%, you're just damaging every part of the process. You're damaging the time that you've invested into it. You're not getting any sort of outcome into it by not reaching that threshold where you start seeing initial value. So I think the group is an amazing asset to make sure that you are getting the value both from whatever kind of organization you're in, but then also from the tools that you're selecting, because a good group is going to hold you accountable and they're going to start to know you well enough to hopefully call you out on your BS if you're kind of procrastinating on some things. So I just love that concept.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty awesome. And it's daunting to do some of these things because there is a big risk evaluating a platform like Jetpack Workflow or some of the others in the marketplace. You're making a big decision because there's work that's going to be involved in getting it all set up, and that's one piece, right? But then it's like, are you making the right decision? And those kinds of moments are where procrastination lives. It's like wherever there's like, yes, uncertainty is a big decision. And we don't have all the pieces. We don't have all the picture. We don't know exactly where we're going here. That's where procrastination can kick in and the move not made. And before you know it, it's 2020 and you haven't embraced a piece of the technology that maybe would be critical in your business.
Yeah. So two quick comments, on that. So I think, first, I think we need to recognize that as business owners, if we stay the same, we're getting worse. I don't think there's any doubt that if you just keep doing what you're doing, if you have goals for your business, you want to increase 20%, 40%, 50% in the new year or next year. I rarely see a business where you say, oh, great, you have this goal of becoming better. Do everything you're doing and you'll just naturally fall into that outcome. I mean, you have to change in order to reach a goal. And if you don't have to change to reach the goal, I would argue you should probably get a new goal, because what's the point if you're not growing professionally, personally through this business as well, and trying to reach new levels of leadership or management or being a practitioner in it. So I think everybody needs to recognize if you're going to stay the same, that means you're getting worse. That's it. And I think we know the competitive landscape is challenging enough to know that is inherently true. The other thing I want to mention is that from a accounting professional perspective, whether you're bookkeeping, payroll, accounting, or tax, you get paid to be precise, detailed, and to really take a lot of risk off of your client's shoulders, and you take that on as the professional. And that is a perfect set of attributes for the day in and day out work that you need to do. But that level could be both a massive benefit, but somewhat of a downside as a business owner, because to get into these projects of going through change management, there's going to be a little bit more risk. But again, the risk is staying the same is the riskiest thing you can do. But just know that getting the workflow implementation or getting the new tool or getting your pricing, if you're going to change pricing, getting that 70% right or 80% right or 90% right is massively better than not taking any action and sitting still. Whereas your day-to-day work, if you get that 60% right, you're probably in big trouble. I just haven't seen it work that way in business, where you get it 70% of the way there. That's still a huge improvement over where you came from.
Yeah, well said. Well said. When it comes to, you've worked with so many different companies, so many different business owners. What are some of the characteristics that have them persevere to get, to the 70%, get beyond the 70%?
I think they get really excited by the outcome. And that outcome can change owner by owner. It could be, I really want to start coaching my kids' sports teams. I want to make this level of profit because it brings a new level of financial security. Or look, it gets really cold in Pittsburgh, and I want to get a summer home in Florida and see the sun again for those winter months. And my goodness, I just need to make that happen. Or you could just be like, I just love trying new things. I've met firm owners that just love trying new things. I think whatever the outcome you're going for, knowing that's why you're doing it helps you go through that change management process. And I think that the owners that have done that for a couple of years, even if they weren't great at that before, or they're really nervous about doing it for the first year, second year, by the time they start running this wheel of, constantly updating and iterating on their firm and how to add more value, by year 3, 5, 10 in their firm, they love it. I mean, it's great. They love the concept of being the business owner, the investor in the business, getting further and further away from the day-to-day fires and operational elements they need to take on. But when I talked to them, they just had an end desired outcome that they were crystal clear on. And again, it's so different for different firm owners. There's one that comes to mind in Ohio, and it was all about work-life balance. He had a family situation that his previous employer was not flexible to, and he needed to start his own firm so he could have better work-life balance. And so that's why he did it. And so knowing that is his outcome, he tried any and all things to really get there. And, he's been in business for, I think, at least 10 years, doing extremely well. And he loves it. For other people, for another firm owner we work with, it was coaching, Little League and going through a couple busy seasons where his family essentially didn't see him for 6 months. He was like, I either need to leave the profession, which he didn't want to do, he really enjoyed it, or he needs to figure out how to get back to a normal set of hours during the busiest times of the year. And so that kept driving him to find best practices, because what you can do is you can look at other firms and you could say, who is that firm owner that is taking off Fridays? Man, what are they doing differently? I mean, the ideas don't all have to come from you, but you have the end desired outcome. Then you find the people that are achieving what you're doing, and you either reverse engineer from a distance, or for many of the firm owners, like I'm sure everybody you interview, everybody we interview, just call them up. Say, hey, I love your story. I feel like I'm in a similar place that you were maybe 2 years ago, and I'm stuck. Can you help me? So, end desired outcome, finding the path that others have taken to get there. I think those two elements are things we see time and time again from our top firm owners.
Beautifully said. I would agree with it 100%. It's the big whys that have people continue on. Now, I'd say the big roadblock that stops many, and I would say the number one roadblock would be their belief of whether or not they will get that big outcome. Is it possible for me? It might be possible for you, David, to do what you've done, but I want that too, but I just don't believe it's possible for me. And that one, if there's one thing on this podcast I want to help people get through, break through, it's that belief. There has to be a level of faith and belief to progress to the next step and do the things that need to be done to get that outcome. Those outcomes just don't drop in our laps. But if you have a big burning desire for something and you don't believe it's going to be possible for you, well, we're stuck.
I love that point. And so I guess in a counterbalancing way, I think it's important to know your outcome, but in a strange way, not to get foo-foo or zen-like on everybody, but then to, in some ways, detach yourself from the outcome. So if your goal is to get to $1 million a year, the one side of my brain says, let's reverse engineer how many clients with how many services and how many services per client you need, how many prospects you talk to every month, what's your close rate per prospect, and then let's reverse engineer this entire formula to really make sure you can reach that 1 million and just hit it down to the most practical, tactical level you possibly can. Now, having said that, the other part of my brain is, you have this goal, you try to reverse engineer the numbers and execute on that. But I think firm owners that we've worked with, the top ones, and even other business owners, you should also be excited on the concept of the person you'll become by trying to reach this goal of $1 million per year. You will become a better business owner. You will become a better leader, manager, practitioner. You will be challenged cognitively in ways you haven't been before. You will have to think about process and workflow and pricing. You're going to have to learn sales or how to run proper consultations. You're going to have to do all these things. And if you're not excited by the person you might become in advancement of trying to hit that goal, then I think you're missing a real opportunity. And I guess the way to summarize it is the joys in the journey. Because here's what happens. You hit 1 million and you're like, well, I really want to get to 5, or I really want to get to 2, and I want better margins. There's always the next goal, but I think if you're excited about the person you're going to become in pursuit of that goal, it's the motivator to get through the messy middle of trying to get there.
Beautiful. We have a mutual friend and mutual client, Lisa Campbell, and I love her story. It fits perfectly in what we're talking about. She was a single mother. She needed and wanted and desired to have a better life for herself and a better life for her family. And so she started building her bookkeeping business, and she built it up, and it was on its way. And she got to a point where it grew out of her ability. She didn't necessarily know how to go beyond. So she reached out for help. Now, in that case, she came to Pure Bookkeeping and said, look, I need to have systems and standardized workflows and procedures in my business. And that helped her. So that was a step. And that helped her grow her business. She started to charge more for what she did. She got better clients, all of those good things. And then she said, I need more automation. I want all of this to work in the cloud. I want it to be automated. I want to know that all the steps are being handled and taken care of. So she went to the marketplace and talked with different people like we talked about, and she found Jetpack Workflow. And then she combined the two. She said, I'm going to bring these two things together. They're going to make my business better and give me freedom, help my staff do a better job of things, enabled her to actually hire more staff. So now she has a business that makes a lot more money than she ever dreamed she would make. She has way more time than she ever thought she'd have. Her kids are taken care of, her family's taken care of, and she has the time and ability to do work that she really is passionate about by helping business owners, doing consulting work now with Profit First Professionals and doing really high valued work where she's making a really great income for helping business owners put more profit in their jeans every month. That started with a burning desire. But she had the belief. She believed that it could be possible for herself. She got committed to it. She got focused, she took the actions, and now she's successful. And, it's just wonderful to be a part of that. And I know you feel the same way, David, about seeing your clients actually get the promises of what we're all talking about in their business.
Absolutely. And the story illustrates so well that you take one step, you build the momentum, and then you hit that milestone, and then what's next? You go through Pure Bookkeeping. She revamped her pricing, got very process focused, went into tooling, went into Jetpack, and she's created some amazing content around that. She feels like she has that core set of services together, very profitable, great work-life balance. Great, what's next? Profit First Professionals. She could have very well said, what's next? I'm taking a longer vacation, right? But it's so dependent on the person. But look, here's the thing, I don't know if 4 years ago Lisa was like, you know what? Here's the sequence of how I want to do everything. I want to do this and this and this and this and this. But it's so much of it just starts with, let's start with what's in front of me. Let's get that together. Then once that frees up, what's the next opportunity? What's the next opportunity? And that's what I mean when firm owners we work with, when they go through that cycle like Lisa has, I mean, they really start cooking with gas because they know how to implement. They know how to create systems. They know how to position things. They can launch new services. They can open up new markets. They can hire people. I mean, they're really building their toolkit in such a way that they can take on so many different parts of the business and really expand it in so many different ways. But it starts with that initial step. And then momentum builds and builds and builds. That's what I love about that story. It's
a great story, and she's a wonderful person, and she has done a great service to her community by showing people how a bunch of how she's done it, how it looks, how she's being successful. She's not saying, "Oh, hey, this is I went and I'm successful and I did it all myself." It's her real essence of, I was helped along the way, and now I'm going to share. If people need help, I'm going to share it. Now, she's a busy person, and she's been on the podcast before. She's been on a Facebook group. Like, she actually got too busy helping people asking her for questions. So she put together a whole bunch of videos that are really supportive, and we'll have the link to those videos in this episode if you want to just go down and click on that link and take a look. But that's the type of person that she is, and her big why is to make that difference. It's like everyone has a different why. And so, yeah, wonderful story. David, this is again, always such a treat to have you. You're so generous with your time and knowledge about your own business, but as well, the business of the clients that you're working with. On the behalf of the listeners, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. If people have questions about anything I just mentioned, my email is david@jetpackworkflow.com. The website's jetpackworkflow.com. And the resources you just mentioned, Michael, to me are a no-brainer for listeners to download. You literally get to see, part of the blueprint that Lisa was able to deploy in creating systems and adding productivity tools to really scale up her firm. And so if you want to see the nitty gritty, if sometimes you listen to content or read content, you find it too abstract and you say, no, what are they doing exactly? Because then I want to see how I can apply that to my firm. The videos you just talked about with Lisa are it. I would recommend everybody go and take a look at them. They're the most tactical videos on creating and deploying workflows that I've ever seen.
Beautiful. And as well, there's also an opportunity to go out there and get yourself a trial of Jetpack Workflow. It's a free trial. And David, there's a link there to do that. It's pretty simple. Is there anything to say about getting a trial of Jetpack Workflow?
Yeah. So if you go to jetpackworkflow.com/free trial, it will take you straight to the registration form. No credit card is required. You get access to every feature. You also get access to our template library. It has literally dozens of we call them lightweight checklists. They're kind of springboard checklists. Pure Bookkeeping has the bulletproof copy and paste. But if you want to see some examples as springboards, we have that into every free trial. You also get access to our product specialist team. And so if you want to have a personalized one-on-one walkthrough, when you sign up for a trial, a product specialist will reach out to you via email, potentially even call, and they'll give you a personalized one-on-one walkthrough. They can really answer your questions, understand your firm, show you best practices inside of the tool. Again, no credit card required, no strings attached. You can take a look at the product and see if it's a good fit for your firm.
Beautiful. I recommend everyone take a look. It will revolutionize the work that you're doing. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to David, and I'm sure his team will be more than happy to help you along your way. Again, David, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.